Hey guys, Joshua Marzz here at New Wave Music Studios, and today we're going to go through a Logic Pro 10 tutorial. We're going to start this series off with the simplest thing possible, which is just an intro to the Logic Pro 10 interface. So I hope you guys are ready to learn. Let's get right to it. All right, guys, so here we are on my 2015 iMac. We're going to go ahead and jump into this intro to Logic Pro 10 tutorial. All right, but first I just want to show you guys down here in the App Store, if you have not downloaded this yet, okay, you just go into the App Store and type in Logic Pro 10, okay, looks like that. You can see I already have it. Version 10.5.1 is the current version, so go ahead and download that if you don't have it. All right, and then make sure you add it to your dock down here if it doesn't do it automatically. And you can just go ahead and click on the Logic Pro 10. All right, and you want to go ahead and click up top here on File, New. All right. Actually, let me show you guys. I'm going to quit this real quick because I was just in it. So what you're going to do is go down to the dock here, click on the Logic Pro 10 once it's downloaded, okay? It'll start bouncing and a little window will pop up here. And we're going to speed through this real quick. It's going to load in all of your audio units, all of the stock things, and then any third-party plugins that you might have. So we're going to say no to these. It's going to open a track because I had a track open, but normally this would open a blank file. So what we're going to do instead is just go to File, New. All right. And when you open up a new file, this is the first thing you see. All right. You have this window here that allows you to choose what your first track is going to be. All right. Are we going to put in an audio track? We can record our vocals. We can record an instrument. If we're going to record a guitar or bass, we can go down here. We can switch the input, all right, to whichever input we're using on our interface, whichever output we're using on our interface. This drummer tab up here is actually a Logic plugin that live plays drums. I don't really use it, but it definitely is there if you need it. You can choose different genres and it will literally just play a drum track along with the melodies that you've made. If you have an external MIDI device, you can plug it in here and use that easily enough. Or you can choose any of the different software instruments, which everything you see right here is a stock Logic plugin. Okay. Alchemy is one of those really great ones, has a lot of sounds in it. Some of these synths are, super modifiable. So that's great. Normally what we're starting with is an audio track. And, this is so that we can lay down a vocal track, and underneath it we can do other things. So I'm going to go ahead and just select input 1. That's my main mic input. The output 1 and 2 is so that it goes to the left and right outputs, because it's a stereo output. So we're going to go ahead and create that file, and you see right here we have an audio file right up top in our playlist section. So this interface, if you have seen GarageBand, like I said in my first video about, building a studio, if you've worked in the free DAW GarageBand, it pretty much looks like what we're looking at now, okay? Big differences are just some extra tools, okay? So we are going to start right up top here, all right? First, we have a sound library, top left corner, okay? Again, stock Logic sounds. Everything that is in here comes with Logic. You can just kind of filter through these sounds. It's literally anything you could want: guitars, drums, vocal samples, tons of different sounds that you can pull from and just add right into the track. All right. We have this info tab. Okay. You can see over on the left there. I do like to keep this guy up most of the time. Okay. While I am recording or mixing or anything. And the big reason is you have these extra mixers here on the side. Okay. And you have a stereo output, and you have whichever track you are currently looking at. All right, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is click this plus sign right here. I'm going to make a second audio track. All right, so we have audio 1 and audio 2. And you can see down in the left here, it now says audio 2 because I have that selected. So when I switch between them, you can see down there in the left, bottom left corner, it's changing between audio 1 and audio 2. So that's why I like to keep this little info tab up. It also has some extra things in the more category, easy fade ins, fade outs, and slow downs and speed ups, easy changes to, any cue zones, and easy reverses. So a lot of this stuff is more advanced tools, but it's just in an easier place to use. So you can just kind of turn something on real quick. You can loop, a sound, you can loop a 4-bar and 8-bar real quick right there. So that's why I like to keep that little info tab open. Okay. Over here is the quick help button. All right. This is basically just a help section. So anything that you need, you can click right here. And then it will open and literally tell you. You see, as I'm like scrolling over these things, it tells you what everything is. So I might as well just keep this open right now, just so you guys can see it. And if you're brand new to this DAW, it's perfect to open up that question mark, and then it will help you understand what everything does. Okay. So we have our fourth little box in the top left here is this toolbar. You can see it keeps opening up and closing. Okay. I don't use this a lot, but it definitely is there if you need it. Okay. What I'm used to doing is using a lot of quick commands, quick tools. We're not going to be able to go over a bunch of those today, but I'll tell you a few of them. All right. And basically up here, you're just selecting your tools manually. So you can like select a tool and it will change what your actual cursor does. And you can, instead of just like clicking and dragging and moving, you can do something like split locators just straight up by clicking on it. All right. So that's the toolbar. But a lot of those can be used as quick commands. Okay. Now, if you've used GarageBand before, this right here is going to look familiar to you. All right. Smart controls. Okay. It has, the same kind of EQ, and the same kind of effects. All right. So the difference between this and GarageBand is, GarageBand has like just a few little, like it's like a compressor and like a reverb and just some real basic stuff on this control board that you can use. All right. The difference here is when we start to load in plugins on our own, okay, they start to show up here as the physical, deck plugins. So I'm going to show you that next. All right. We have the mixer right next to the smart controls. All right. And this is what I use way more than the smart controls. This is a much cleaner feel to me than the smart controls like you would use solely in GarageBand. So in here, when we switch between the different, tracks, okay, you can see that on the mixer down here, it's also switching between them, and it has their names all at the bottom. Again, it has the stereo output and the master output for the track. So you can look at the stereo output over here in the info section, but also have it down in the mixer as well. So that's nice. You have a lot of, different things to play with. And let's just, go ahead and add something real simple in here. All right. If we're going to add a plugin, okay, we just go down to this mixer. Okay. These are stock Logic plugins. So if I were to click on this, it would just bring up the EQ. All right. And that's the stock EQ. You can change the input for, this track. If you have, one vocal you want to record with input 1 and the other vocal you want to record with input 2, you can do that. But we want to add plugins here. So we're going down to this audio FX strip. Okay. And it starts to expand every time we add something in. So we're going to just click in and hold on it. We'll go down to dynamics and just put in a compressor. Okay. Just because this is a stock Logic plugin and I want you to see how this looks on the smart controls. So we add this compressor in here. We can go ahead and click out of it. We can do a lot of different things with it. All right. When we go back over to the smart controls now, we can see the compressor right in front of us. Just pops up right there. Now it's a smaller version. Okay. It's a modified version of this compressor because you'll recall when we go back over here and look at the compressor, there's a lot more to it. What we were seeing in the smart controls was only about this stuff right down here. We didn't have the ability to change the compressor presets. All right. So we were only getting some of these basic tools. And that's what Smart Controls is. It's just like the streamlined way. It kind of gives you hints of like what to do, but it's not as deep, with the editing process. And that's kind of what I felt was lacking about GarageBand. So the next little tool we have up here is the editor tool. All right, so these three tools will switch between this extra window down here. And again, these can all be controlled by button clicks. All right, so you can see up here with this quick help when we hover over that it tells us right next to the name what the button is. Smart Controls B, Mixer button X. So when I have the editor up, I want to bring the mixer up, I just hit X. I want to bring the Smart Controls up, I hit B. All right, and it just switches between them for you a lot quicker. So E for the editor, okay? And when we have this up, it will show your actual tracks, what's recorded in the playlist, and you'll have some extra, editing functions down here. You'll be able to reverse tracks, time stretch, a lot of different, pinpoint editing, which, can come in handy. But again, a lot of these functions can be used as quick commands, okay? So we'll go back to the mixer. This is my favorite setup on Logic Pro 10, okay? I like to have the playlist area here so I can see all my different tracks. I like to have the mixer down here so I can analyze, the volumes. And I like to have my info tab open so that I can analyze the volumes in a smaller space, okay? So I can kind of see them a little condensed, like specifically what I'm looking at. If there's like 30 tracks on the mixer, it can get a little confusing at times. So those are our top left buttons. Those are most of the extras that will be added on. You can see a few over here on the right side, okay, as well, where we had a library of sounds. We also have a library of loops, so pre-made sounds that we can use, okay. You can load in your own media, so you can load in your your own sound packs or your own videos. All right, you can actually like edit vocals or audio on top of a video in here, and this is where you would kind of bring all of that extra stuff in. All right, you can put notes down. You can literally make markers, okay, across the top of this playlist area. And when you're adding in markers, you'll be able to see here in kind of a note form where those markers are and what they're exactly marking, okay? So these tools over here, I don't use so much. They're a little more, towards an organization standpoint, and I feel that my organization is already okay. And also, I'm not going deep into, audio video projects on here. I'm using, Adobe Premiere for that. So with Logic, I'm strictly in here for recording vocals or making beats. And most of these things don't apply to me. I'm not a big note taker as I'm making music. But some people, these tools will help keep you organized. And that's great. Okay. We have a few more little tools up here. Okay. We have the metronome. All right. So if this is highlighted up here, this little triangle, I mean, it looks like a metronome. That means the metronome will play throughout the entire track. So if I click this and I hit play, okay, we're going to hear that metronome move in a 4 count for whatever your BPM is, the entire track. So I usually keep that off, but I keep the 1, 2, 3, 4 on, okay? And the 1, 2, 3, 4 is for when you go to record, it gives someone a 4 count right before it actually starts recording. So that's nice to, start off a song or when you're, cutting in during a verse, it makes it a bit, easier to have that 4 count. You can click solo on a track right up here. All right, this literally just puts like whatever tracks are in solo for you. However, you can also do that right down here. Okay. This guy, all right, is basically a tuner for, if you're playing a guitar or any kind of instrument that, obviously needs to be tuned prior to you playing it or, recording it at its, maximum capacity. So you can just go ahead and put this on, and whatever you play, through the mic, it'll pick up, it'll, tune it. As you tune it, it will, obviously help you move your tuning to the right direction. Okay. And this guy is a replace button. Okay, replace an existing recording or a portion of it with a new recording. So this is not a button that I'm very familiar with because it's easy enough to delete a recording if you don't like it. So I'm not going to really tell you much about that. I don't use it. Okay. Everything up here is pretty self-explanatory. All right. This is literally on a tape deck, how you would, play or, go to the beginning, forward or rewind a song, the record button, the little red button everyone knows. And this is to put on a specific loop, which you can drag over here. You can also just start dragging and the loop will go on. Okay. And you can just hit C to turn that off or on. Okay. C for cycle. They call it a cycle, not a loop. But anyways, that's pretty much everything up here. You can also see that we have a bit of analytics up here. This just tells us, the bar and beat of the song. So you can see that, the number 3 here is the third bar. Okay. A bar is 4 beats. So you have 1, 2, 3 ticks in the middle, right? Because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 3, 3, 4. Okay. And if you've had any kind of, classical musical training, you understand why I'm counting like that. But that is how you can measure out bars and beats, okay, and change your BPM of the track to change, how fast those bars or beats are moving through. You can change your key signature. You can change the key that you're in. Your time signature and the key that you're in. I don't do a lot of that because I am not a composer. I don't make any real classical music. All the music that we do is pretty simple, and 4/4 is the easiest to stay in. Hip hop and R&B really don't get that crazy. So those are pretty much all of these tools that are available for you up top. Okay. There's a few more little things in here, edit and functions, which you can also find down here in the editor. Like I said, there are quicker ways to do some things in here. Okay, so it's just about what to me is the most important to have up. All right, so I love to have my mixer up. That way I can, interact with what I have going on in the song at the quickest pace possible. If you have an iMac like I do, okay, and you have one of these Magic Mouses, okay, what you can do to zoom in and zoom out is hold down the Option key and scroll on the mouse as if it was a trackpad. Scrolling left and right, you can zoom left and right. Scrolling up and down, you can zoom up and down. Super quick, it makes it awesome. And if you don't have that luxury, okay, you have these guys right up here. Vertical zoom, horizontal zoom. It's a pain in the butt, in my opinion, to use these, okay? But if you're working on a laptop, that's probably what you're gonna have to be doing. So get used to it, all right? It'll get easier as you start to get upgrades, but just start to learn all of the little buttons in here and, precisely what they do and how they work for you, okay? This was just a quick overview of everything in here, as quick as I could make it. This is gonna be about a 20-minute video at the end of this. And this is super, super basic information. We didn't even get to put anything in this track yet. But I just want to show you 2 more quick things, okay? And then we're going to wrap up this video. So right up here in the middle, all right, we have a mouse and we have this mark tool. So what this means, okay, is this is our primary function. The one on the left is our primary function. So you can see that I have the mouse out. If I were to switch it to the eraser, now I can erase things as my primary function. However, there's nothing here to erase necessarily. What I like to do is leave my pointer tool on my primary, and I like to change my secondary to the automation curve tool, okay? And we'll get into this in a later series, but I'm gonna show you right here. This little button is the automation button, okay? And it will show us the track automation, which we can take something as simple as volume, okay? And we can put dots on here and say, hey, I want the volume to go down here or up here, okay? And then we hold down Command. You can see how the little squiggly automation line pops up when I hold down Command, all right? Now I can go right, or I can go down or up or left. I can curve this however I please just by holding down Command and dragging. So those are the primary and secondary functions of your mouse. It's great to go ahead and put the automation curve tool on there. Once you start to do a lot of automation, it makes your workflow a lot easier. The mark tool is great as well because you can literally mark a certain part of a file and just like cut it out, solo it out, whatever. So that's a great tool to use as well. Or maybe the scissors tool. However, we will go over some more shortcuts when we have a video with some actual stuff in here, so I can show you what these shortcuts do. But there are shortcuts for cutting, copying, pasting, pulling different things up. There's a shortcut for almost every function in here, and it's great. So hopefully you guys, got some good information out of this, got a little idea of, what to expect when you open Logic, and where you should be going in the first place. All right. If you want to, go ahead and save a file, I didn't touch on a lot of this stuff because this is pretty much the same with most apps that you're using in any case. But if you're going to file, you can open new from here. You can open recent from here. You can just close the project or save the project. You can export the project, bounce it as bounce like the whole track is an MP3. All right. You can go up here to do, copies, pastes, different edits, moving tracks, trimming tracks. But again, all of this stuff can be done with just basic commands. So I'm not really using that up there. You can create new tracks, straight up here. But again, I showed you can create new tracks with this plus button. Okay. We can also duplicate tracks using this button right here. You see, it's just making a bunch of tracks now. All right. And they're all going to be the same. If these had, if this has a compressor on it, all right, and I duplicate that track, the next one that I duplicated is also going to have a compressor. Okay. So now you see I have a bunch of tracks in here just from duplicating all of them. So the navigate, again, not something that I am using because this is just to jump between specific markers that you've placed, and again, I don't use those kind of organization tools while I'm in here most of the time. These are some recording functions, so you can change the count in to multiple bars or just like a quarter or a half a bar. I like to go into low latency mode while I record, and I can explain more about what that is, but it basically just keeps us clean. None of the effects are messing with us while we're recording if we're already putting effects on it during the recording process. So you can do different recording options over here. All right, different options for like showing the automation, which again you can just click on the regular track, deleting automation, all of these things that you do up here, other than this view tool. All right, this view will show you stuff, hide mixer, show smart controls. Those are the things that, again, you can just click these buttons, X, B, E, D, and it will just bring those up for you. So none of these windows up here are necessary. Okay, this is just a place to fall back to. If you really don't know what you're looking for, go ahead and click that help and like search, and it'll show you where to go to do something. All right. And the last big thing is up here in Logic Pro X. If you were to go to preferences, we'll have to dive into this deeper in advanced settings video for Logic. But there are a lot of settings that you can edit up here, okay, of how we're recording, how we're displaying things, what we're choosing to automate, if we're plugging in MIDI, how are we connecting the MIDI, all these different, very specific settings. So most of these things you may not need to get into. Again, pick and choose what you think you need here. If you're a producer, go ahead and just skip the whole audio step, click software instrument, hop right into Alchemy, and have yourself a blast. All right. You click on this guy and you will see so many sounds in this thing. All right. You're just filtering through sounds. So this is why I did not touch on a lot of these things in this video. It's already pushing 25 minutes and I really just would not be able to get into the specifics of every little thing that Logic comes with. I just wanted to show you guys where to find things and a little bit about the workflow, just to make it a little easier for you, less intimidating when you first open it up. All right, so if you guys like this video and got some value out of it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. If you are looking forward to more Logic Pro 10 tutorials or any of the DIY home studio content that I'll be posting on Sundays, remember again, I'm going to do my best to post a Logic Pro 10 tutorial every Wednesday around noon to 2 p.m. So look out for next week. We're going to start diving into how to record and how to start making a beat on Logic Pro 10. So hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.